So welcome to another segment of my chemistry video. So this time we want to talk about fertilizers. Yeah, sometimes this is actually spelled with a Z here, so you can either spell it with S or Z there, there's no problem. Now the question that we can ask is, what is a fertilizer? You need to remember that a fertilizer is simply any substance added to the soil to make it more fertile. So we can simply say that a fertilizer is any substance added to the soil to make it more fertile. So this is what we call as being a fertilizer. So any substance added to the soil to make it more fertile. So we call it as being a fertilizer. Now, any fertilizer that you are going to have, any fertilizer that you are going to come across, most of them, they need to contain some elements in them. So the elements that are found in fertilizer are commonly abbreviated as NPK. So sometimes we call it as being NPK, but of course these are just initials. The N there stands for nitrogen, the P there stands for phosphorus, and the K there stands for potassium. So these are the three main elements that can be found in any fertilizer that you have. Now, why are these elements important? Why are they important to plants? Why are these elements important to plants? Well, let's start with nitrogen. Why do plants need nitrogen? Why do they need the nitrogen? Remember, plants need nitrogen for making chlorophyll and plant proteins. Yeah, so I can say that plants need nitrogen for making chlorophyll. Remember the green pigment that is found in plants. So for making chlorophyll and proteins. So plant proteins also are needed. They need actually nitrogen to do that. Then the other one that we can talk about is potassium. So why do plants need potassium there? Why do they need the potassium? Potassium is important because it helps to produce proteins and to resist diseases. So very important. So we can say it helps to produce proteins and resist diseases. So that is what we can talk about. The other nutrient that we are talking about is phosphorus. What does phosphorus do? What does the phosphorus do to plants? Phosphorus helps roots to grow and crops to ripen. So it helps roots to grow and crops to ripen. So in case you want your crops to grow and you want them to ripen, phosphorus becomes very important. Yeah, potassium may also help in stem formation, making the stems to be stronger, so that potassium can be there. Now I'll give you some examples of some common fertilizers that you may come across. One of them is what we call as being ammonium sulfate. Now, how does ammonium sulfate come about? Well, ammonia, which is in aqueous form, when dissolved, is going to react with sulfuric acid. So when it reacts with sulfuric acid, that is going to produce what we call as being ammonium sulfate, and that is still in aqueous. To balance up, you can put up a 2 on the ammonia. So that is what we call. So this fertilizer is what we simply call as being ammonium sulfate. Now, if you notice the ammonium sulfate there, you are going to find that why do plants need ammonium sulfate? There's nitrogen and there's also sulfur, elements that are needed by plants. Another type of fertilizer that we can talk about, so this is what we are calling as being ammonium, sulfate. So ammonium sulfate. Okay, sorry, the state symbol that we need to have, this is going to be in gaseous form. The other one that we are going to have is when ammonium reacts with nitric acid. So when it reacts with nitric acid gaseous form, this is in aqueous, you are going to find that you are going to produce ammonium nitrate. So ammonium nitrate is going to be produced. This is what we call as being ammonium nitrate. So it's another type of fertilizer. Why is it needed by plants? Because it contains nitrogen. Okay, another one that we can talk about is when ammonium reacts with phosphoric acid. So when it reacts with phosphoric acid, which is in aqueous, it is going to produce what we call ammonium phosphate. So it is going to produce ammonium phosphate. That is still in aqueous. To balance up, you put up a 3 there. So you can see what is going to be happening here. So this is ammonium phosphate. Why is ammonium phosphate needed by plants? That it contains nitrogen and phosphorus, elements that are needed by plants. So that is what you need to remember. Okay, so now another aspect that I need to talk about, which they are going to be asking you or requiring you to to tell them in the exam, are simply problems associated with the chemical fertilizer. So problems with chemical fertilizer, because these type of fertilizers that I've mentioned here are all chemical fertilizers. They are made artificially in plants. They are not natural, like manure that may come from maybe cow dung, chicken and the like, and so on and so forth, or things that are rotten. These are simply made up of chemicals. So now one of the problems associated with chemical fertilizer is that chemical fertilizer tends to make the soil acidic if they are used for a longer period of time. So I can say that they make the soil acidic if used for a long time. So they will make the soil acidic if they are used for a long time. The other problem that is associated with chemical fertilizer is that they easily get reached away. What do I mean? They get actually washed away by rainwater, especially when it rains. Such chemical fertilizers are easy to dissolve, and hence all the nutrients are going to be washed into rivers and lakes. You can see it becomes a waste of this chemical fertilizer, and that may in turn cause pollution in the rivers. So we can simply say it is easily leached away and cause pollution in rivers and lakes. So now what that is going to happen, especially when we talk about nitrates, so you are going to find that nitrates, NO3 ions which are found in the soil, and also sulfate ions that are found in the soil. When it rains, this can actually be washed away into the rivers, and once they are washed into the rivers, they will cause the formation of algae on the surface of the water. And when that algae dies, bacteria will start feeding on them. Even other organisms that will die, bacteria will start feeding on them. And when those bacteria start feeding on them, they will start using the oxygen in the water. So that is going to lead to death of many aquatic organisms that are there. So that is what you need to look out when it comes to chemical fertilizer. Thank you so much for watching my video.